welcome to our foot mobility video. So here we're going to go through some mobilizing foot exercises. Now it's really important that we get our feet moving as well as we absolutely can, because feet are our foundation, and if we don't have that right foundation, it's very difficult then to build a strong functional body on top of that. So we'll kind of talk about that a little bit more as we go along, but you're going to need a ball for this. So this I've got is just a tennis ball. You can use any kind of ball that you can get your hands on, but I probably wouldn't start with a golf ball, just because the smaller and the harder a ball is, the more pressure it's going to apply. So I would go for something with a little bit of squish. Something like a tennis ball is ideal. And we're going to start with some standing exercises. Now you don't have to do all of these exercises at once or every time you do them. You can just pick one or two exercises that work for you, that you can just kind of fit into your routine. And I know that some people are a little bit funny about feet, even their own feet, and they don't like to touch the feet at all. And if that's the case, it doesn't matter, because we've got stuff that we can do using the ball. You don't have to hold on to your feet if you don't want to. Okay, so grab your whatever ball that you're going to use and pop it down onto the floor. So you're going to have your heel down on the floor. The ball is at the base of your toes, and you're going to roll your foot side to side across the ball. So you're looking here to see, when you put the pressure down onto the ball, do the little knuckles of your toes appear. Can you see the little knuckles of your toes? And that's a good thing if you can, because quite often those little knuckles can get really depressed. And I don't mean like sad depressed, I mean they get really squished down. So you're just windscreen wipering from one side to the other, keeping your heel down on the floor and seeing how does that feel. If you need to hold on to something, that's fine. And then now we're going to start to roll the foot over the ball, and I want you to follow the lines of the little bones in the top of the feet. So they're like little ray bones. So can you roll? You can let your heel lift for this, along forwards and backwards, along each of the like little finger bones, along your foot. So nice and slow, take your time. Notice how it feels. You can put as little or as much pressure on here as feels right for you. So rolling through the foot. And then just give your foot a general little roll, just to loosen it up. And if you notice that there's any areas that feel tender, like you've hit a really sore spot, it's a real good indication that there's a little trigger point there, there's some tension there. So maybe see if you can just roll that bit out. We're going to do quite a bit of work on the feet anyway. So just rolling the foot all the way. So we're just going to do exactly the same on the other side. Heel down. Ball is at the base of the toe, and you're just rolling across the ball or across your foot, whichever way you want to look at it, like a little windscreen wiper, so side to side. And just notice, again, can you see the little knuckles at the base of your toes? And what is it making your foot do? So quite bizarrely here, my big toe is wanting to lift and my other toes are wanting to grip the ball. So just notice what your foot is doing, if it's different one side to the other. So I'm just doing a few times across the foot, just loosening up, getting some movement there. And then, like we did on the other side, we're going to roll through the length of the foot, following the little ray bones. And we're really getting some stimulation to the muscles of the feet here. We're getting some good blood flow to the feet. We're getting some lymphatic drainage through the feet. It's so important that our feet are able to move. If you think about how far your feet are away from your heart, they're kind of the furthest thing from you. And if you don't have very good circulation, your heart's got to work really hard to pump the blood all the way down into your feet. But not only that, it's then got to bring the blood back from your feet all the way up. So again, it's having to work even harder because it's fighting against gravity as well. What we really need are strong functional muscles that can contract and release, because that muscular contraction and release stimulates blood flow. So your heart isn't having to work hard to pump the blood there, because the contraction and release of the muscles is drawing the blood in and obviously working the lymph system. So your lymphatic system, which is kind of like the bin men of the body, they get rid of all of the toxins and all of the nasty stuff. They don't have a circulatory system that's regulated by the heart, same as your blood system does. The lymphatic system relies on the contraction and release of muscles to move its products around the body. So if you don't have good circulation, you're not getting rid of all of the waste products of the cells of the body. Okay, so have a little feel now. How do your feet feel? Noticing if they feel, maybe they feel a little bit warmer because we've increased the circulation. Maybe they feel a little bit more flat and they're more in contact with the mat. Just notice if there's been any changes there. And we're going to use the ball again now. So you're going to be, you might think it's a little bit boring because you're going to be standing still for quite a while, but it's really going to give some release to the muscles of the feet. So now we're going to really keep the heel down. We're going to place the ball right on the ball of the foot, at the base of the toes and in the centre of your foot. And we're just going to apply a little bit of pressure there. And we're just going to hold that ball there. And while we're standing here, we're going to just think a little bit about our alignment. So notice if your kind of hips have dropped to one side or the other. Notice if you're leaning forwards. Have a look at the outside edges of your feet. Have they turned out? Can you get the outside edges straight? And we're trying to keep about hip width apart. We're always trying to keep about hip width apart. Now, to begin with, for your balance, you might want to have the leg that you're working on forwards, but once you feel quite stable, can you have your feet level? If that makes you feel like you're falling over because you've got a little bit of tightness down the back of the leg, it's fine to have that leg forwards to begin with. But eventually, you want to try and work and have the feet level. Okay, I'm going to step it back a little bit. My calves are a bit tight today. So I've got the heel down, we're pressing the ball into the foot. And again, we're noticing. Can you see your toe knuckles there? Are they there? And if they're not, don't worry about it, but that's something that you're going to notice an improvement on over time. Let's just move the ball forward slightly, but you're still going to keep your heel down, but just moving the ball down slightly, maybe a centimetre or so. Now, how far you can move down is just going to really depend on the length of your foot. But again, we're applying pressure onto the ball or onto the foot. Again, depends which way you're looking at it. We're allowing gravity and was pressing the foot down to spread the bones, to release the muscles, to increase the circulation. And it might feel really strange. It might feel really painful. Just go as slow as you need to. Feet are going to feel amazing. Let's move it again, a little bit more. Again, just how does it feel? Just checking in all of the time and notice. So our feet have become really rigid. In your foot, in each foot, you've got 26 bones. That's over a quarter of the bones of the whole body are in your feet. 26 bones. And there's 33 joints. And there's over 100 muscles, ligaments and tendons. So as soon as you hear that, that should kind of tell you that your feet are designed to be extremely mobile, because why would you need that many bones and joints and muscles if your foot didn't really need to move that much? So our feet are designed to mould and to deform over different shapes, and that gives us feedback so that we know how much pressure to apply or not. So if we were walking around barefoot and you were to step onto a rock that was a little bit sharp, had a jaggedy edge, as soon as your foot was to come in contact with that, the foot would then lift off, it would apply very light pressure and the foot would lift away from that, immediately giving feedback to your brain there's something sharp here and you would know not to step on it, protecting the rest of your body as well. However, because we tend to wear shoes and shoes that have quite thick soles, we're not getting any feedback from the ground at all, and we're not getting any feedback from these spiky rocks and things. So people that go walking and they're using the walking boots with the big thick sole and the ankle support and all of that, they're not getting any feedback. Their body isn't adapting to the terrain that they're walking on. Can you move it forward one more time, still keeping your heel down? Their body's not adapting to the terrain that they're walking on, so they're just blindly fumbling and bumbling along, and their foot isn't deforming over the shape. So what's happening is they're then having to deform at the knee or at the hip, and they aren't designed to do that. It should be the foot that's moving. So this is why I talk about trying to get your shoes off and get your feet out as much as possible, and why it's really important to get shoes that are as flexible and as mobile as possible. And we will talk about that because it's one of my favourite things to talk about. Okay. So I can't get my foot any more than that. Maybe you can if your foot is a little bit longer than mine. So I'm going to go now to the outside edge of my foot. So we've just worked our way down the centre of the foot. We're going to come back up and I'm going to place the ball again at the base of the toes, but now it's on the outside edge of my foot, so it's kind of under my fourth toe and my little toe this time. And again, I'm going to apply some pressure and just hold it here. Checking again alignment, making sure that we're not hanging off one hip. Try and check, are you holding tension as your jaw tense, shoulders? Are you gripping anywhere? Are you tucking your bottom under? Try and just stand in as good alignment as you can. Again, don't forget you absolutely can hold on if you need to. You can spend as long as you like doing this, but it is important that you don't rush through. You don't want to be just like, put the ball there, a couple of breaths, put the ball there. You need to give your body time to adapt, because initially when you do something different with your body, it's going to protect itself and it's going to tense up at first because it's not sure what's happening, and it's trying to protect itself, and then after a while when it knows, okay, I'm okay, she's not doing anything too weird, I can cope with this, your body then starts to relax and release, so then you can get more out of it. So let's move it down a little bit. We're still on the outside edge of the foot, so we've already worked the middle. I'm always saying about trying to get your shoes off as much as possible. I don't expect you to go wandering around the town barefoot, although you can if you want to. But while you're at home, get your feet out. You don't need to be wearing slippers and things like that. I mean, obviously, if you are diabetic and you've got to be very careful with your feet, then that's different. But just for normal, everyday, healthy people, get your feet out. They really respond to that external stimulus. If you've got grass in your garden and it's safe in your garden, you've not got any glass or anything, get your feet out in the grass. It's just, I can't tell you how beneficial it is for your body. So not only are you getting that physical feedback of your feet being able to deform, but you're connecting with the earth, you're grounding yourself, you're absorbing. Move your foot forward a little bit more. You're absorbing electrons from the earth, from the ground, which really helps your whole physical and your mental well-being. So if you've got grass, get your feet in the grass. It feels amazing. It's the same thing with when you're on holiday and you're on the beach and you're barefoot on the beach. It's the same thing. It's that grounding, it's that earthing, it's that, just feels amazing. Can you you do one more without your heel lifting? Depends how much you've moved your foot, doesn't it, as well? Okay. And then we're going to do the inside edge of the foot. So exactly the same thing. The ball is going to be at the base of the big toe, between the big toe and the first toe, or the second toe, whichever way you want to think about it. Okay, so again, just applying that little bit of pressure, heel stays down. You're allowing the bones to spread. Allowing the rest of your body to be relaxed. Now you can also use spiky balls, you know, the soft spiky balls, and that gives a different kind of feedback, so it's good to use different sizes of balls and different consistencies, so harder, softer, and you absolutely can work your way up to a golf ball. Just to begin with, they're often a little bit too severe at the start. Let's move it forwards a little bit. So if you have bunions on your feet, so a bunion is where your big toe is leaning towards your other toes, which creates a deformed joint at the base of the big toe, where we have, well, basically what's happening is the big toe is being pulled to the side, so the joint, instead of it being flush, is starting to stick out to the side, and that's why it feels like a bony projection, because that's exactly what it is on the inside edge of your foot. So if you have bunions, all of these foot exercises are so good for you, because the more mobility you can get in your feet, the better they're going to be. Okay, move it down a little bit more. And we will do a Facebook Live coaching session about feet, so if you have any questions, get those to one side. You can send them to me if you want. We'll perhaps do the foot live maybe with the next unit, but that's not set in stone. But we will talk about shoes, we will talk about bunions, we can talk about the little correct toes, we will talk about other things that you can get, the little alignment socks and that kind of thing. And let's move one more time. Can you move one more time? So I know this is quite slow and repetitive, but you know what, your feet need it. They get neglected so much. We don't really think about our feet. We just stuff them into shoes and just expect them to carry us around our whole life. They work so hard and they get so little back from us. So just spending this time, just giving your feet some TLC is just like, it's the best thing ever. Okay, and then just come on off and then just step your foot down. And notice, is there any difference from one side to the other? How does your foot feel? Yeah, just notice. It might not feel any different. Depends again how connected you are, but the more time you spend on your feet, the stronger that brain-body connection is going to get. We're going to do the same on the other side. So we're going to start again at the middle. So ball right at the base of your toes, in the centre of your foot. Check in with your alignment again, make sure your hips aren't off. Make sure that you've not massively turned your feet out. That's one of my favourites, is to turn my feet out. And keep your heel down. Okay, we're just applying pressure. Do you have any little toe knuckles here? Can you see your toe knuckles? Notice. You could do this sitting down if at first it's a little bit, maybe if your balance isn't amazing or your feet are just really fragile because they've been cocooned in shoes for so long that they're not used to having anything like this done to them. You could absolutely do this sitting down. And then obviously as you get stronger, you can then start to do it standing up, because you can apply more pressure, and obviously we've got more gravity when we're in a standing position. it's amazing how when your feet are relaxed, when you've done some work on your feet and your feet are relaxed, you get that immediate sensation through the rest of your body of relaxation too. But we're cultivating that relationship the whole time, the brain-body connection. We're building up our really good connection with all the areas of our body. And there is a real strong relationship between the pelvic floor and the feet as well. So, and again, it's just because everything's connected. When you start putting all of the pieces together, it's almost common sense, isn't it? That if your feet aren't able to adapt and you're not getting any feedback from your feet and your feet aren't moving, then your ankles aren't going to be getting the feedback, your ankles aren't going to be moving. Your knees, your hips, nothing is moving as it should be. And as we already said about circulation, so the circulation of blood and nutrients to the tissues aren't as good. And when you're not using those muscles, and those muscles aren't strong and healthy to get all of the circulation, all of the blood pumping around in the lower extremities and the pelvic floor, then we start to kind of not become dead from the waist down, but you know what I'm saying? We're not getting that good circulation, we're not getting that healthy flow of blood and nutrients. Move it along a little bit more. And that will affect the pelvic floor. Now, my right foot has turned itself out. Look at that. So keep just checking in with yourself and notice. Scooch it forward maybe one more time. I feel very unsteady on this side. So you're always checking, you're always noticing, is it different one side to the other? Is it different one day to the other? Okay, so I'm going to go to the outside edge of the foot now. So again, ball comes back up to the top, just at the base of the toes, between the fourth and fifth toe. Look at my right foot again, sneaky, turning out. Have to keep a check on it. I'm going to take my leg out a little bit wider. Just allowing your foot to relax. And if you have a lot of tension in your feet, it's almost like your foot is trying to hold itself away from the ball. It's not going to want to put that pressure on, and it's almost like it's resisting and it's pulling away. So keep trying to just apply gentle pressure. You can keep backing off it if you need to. And whenever you've had enough, you can stop. You don't have to just force yourself to go all of the way through. So let's move it down a little bit. So keep checking jaw, shoulders. Move it down a little bit. I'm really struggling with this side. Do one more there without your heel coming up. And then let's come and do the inside edge. Can ball at the base of the toes, we're now at the big toe and the next toe. Applying some pressure. Always checking for those compensation patterns, maybe check your ribs. Now don't be surprised if your feet ache after this, because we're stretching apart, we're moving the bones, we're moving the muscles. So this is, it's kind of a passive stretch, which kind of means that you aren't physically having to activate the muscles of your feet, because we're using gravity and the ball to do that. So it's still a fairly passive stretch here. Move it down a little bit. However, they're still working, and we've got all of those, like I said, the nutrients and the blood flowing back, and we're waking those tissues up. Can you move it along a little bit? Can you do one more? Without your heel coming up. Ooh. That was a lot of exercise for the feet. It was a lot of work to do. I'm going to keep going through all of the exercises, but if you've had enough for today, or your feet have had enough for today, fine, come back and do the rest of this video another time. So it is a lot to kind of go through it all, but I just wanted to have it all together in one place for you. So I'm going to get rid of the ball now, get out of the way. Just going to stretch out the top of the foot. So you're going to take one leg behind and tuck the toes under, and you're trying to rest on the knuckles of the toes, so right at the base of the toes. You're trying to stand up tall, but making sure that you aren't leaning forwards and not lifting your ribs. And we're standing nice and tall. Trying to keep this leg straight that's gone back, because if you bend the knee, you're not going to be really getting the same stretch. So try and keep that leg straight and have it back of the front leg. Because again, if it's forwards, you're not going to be getting enough weight. Top of the foot stretch. Again, great for mobilising our feet and getting all of that circulation. Let's do the same on the other side. I'm going to turn around this way. Again, taking the leg back, tuck the toes under, and standing tall, but checking with ribs and making sure that you're not leaning forwards. Leg is straight. If it causes a lot of cramping in your feet, just keep coming out of it, give your toes a stretch and come back to it again. It's usually a sign that, again, we're increasing the circulation into the tissues and they're just not used to it and they kind of cramp up a little bit. So I kind of feel like that's a good thing, especially if you aren't used to doing this kind of exercise. The more you do it, the less you'll get that cramping sensation. Good. All right, just come on out of that. Give your legs a little shake. So we're going to do some more standing foot exercises now. So we're going to look down at our feet. We're about hip width apart. We want the outside edges of our feet straight so that we're in that really good alignment. And then we're going to lift and spread all of the toes. So for me, it really helps if I do fingers. And then place your feet down. Again, can you lift and spread your toes? And place them down. One more time like that. Lift and spread your toes and place them down. Okay, looking at your feet now. Can you lift just your big toes? Can you lift your second toe, third toe, fourth toe and little toe? Once all of the toes are up, can you put your little toe back down first? Then the fourth toe, third, second and first. So you're lifting each toe in turn and then lowering them in turn. Do that again. Big toe, next, next toe, and your little toe. Once they're all up in the air, can you place your little toe down first, then your fourth, third, second and first. So do that a few more times, and you are noticing if your toes don't want to move at all, if they all want to move together, if maybe one toe just doesn't want to play. So just, again, creating that awareness. And if your toes don't move at all, then don't worry about it. In fact, that's quite exciting because that means that you're going to get massive changes in your body. It's just going to take time. toe in turn, lift and lower. This time as you lift each toe in turn, can you spread? Lift and spread, lift and spread, lift and spread. And then lower down, lower down, lower down. Okay. So there is another foot exercise that I am not able to do, but I'm going to tell you because maybe you guys can do it. And it's something that's really annoying me, and it's something that I'm really going to be working on. So your toes are going to stay down. You're going to just lift your big toe lift. Okay, I can do that bit. And then lower your big toe down. Now, can you keep your big toe down and lift your 4 other toes? And I just cannot do that. So can you keep your big toe down and lift your other toes? My big toes just want to play all the time. So that's something I'm working on. So just try it a few times. It's like my brain's saying, no, I don't know what you're talking about, and that's just not going to happen for me. And it is, and I'm going to conquer that, and that's kind of on my list of things to do. So I'm going to keep playing with that and keep encouraging my feet so that I can get that. Maybe you can get that already. Let me know if you can, and I'll be really, really jealous. So we're going to come down now to a seated position, and you are going to be holding your own feet for these next ones. So it might be nice if you use something to give your feet a little bit of love and a little bit of a massage. So coconut oil is a really nice thing to use for your feet, or any foot lotion or anything like that that you've got is a really nice kind of treat for your feet. So come on down to seated. Okay, so you're going to be holding your feet a little bit now. And again, it will really depend on how mobile your feet are as to how easy this is for you. So you're going to find a position that's comfortable for you. So if you need to sit on, you can do this sitting on a chair, you can do this sitting on some cushions. You're going to bring one leg across the other. Okay. And then you're going to use your opposite hand and you're going to pop your fingers between your toes. Okay. So I don't want you to struggle and to force. If they won't go in, just do what you can. Get them in a little bit if you can. And maybe they're just like right up at the top of your toes, and that's fine. And then the heel of your hand is going to just come down to rest on the arch of your foot. Okay? And then we're just going to hold it here, maybe just gently move your foot around a little bit. Just see how it feels. And I kind of like to get the other hand and just kind of give it a little bit of love. So I'm going to use my thumb into the arch of the foot, and then I'm kind of using my fingers on the top of the foot. Just giving it a little bit of a massage. I've actually been in the garden, so my feet are quite dirty. Should have washed them first, but it's okay. So you're just, I imagine that I'm like trying to break up tension. So I'm just kind of getting in there and kind of going down between the bones of the foot on the front as well, just kind of moving things. Maybe you can wriggle your fingers down a little bit more. Again, it's going to depend on your feet. I have really long toes, like fingers, like little monkey feet. So, you know, my toes quite spread now, so I can kind of get mine right in there, but you are where you are. And if your feet start to cramp, your toes start to cramp, and you need to come out of it, then that's fine. Just moving it around. And then maybe pulling the toes towards you, and then pushing them away. Just manipulating your feet, maybe going around in little circles. Just increasing the circulation. Just get to know your own feet. We should love our feet. So as I was just saying about my long toes, I was so self-conscious about my feet. I don't really know why. I don't even know where that had come from, but it used to really, somebody had obviously made a comment somewhere at some time, I don't even know, but I would never wear sandals or open-toed shoes at all. And I would just hide my feet away. Nobody ever saw my feet. And
always wore obviously closed-toed shoes, but because my feet are quite wide at the toes, and they didn't fit very well into like the pointy shoes that were really fashionable, that everybody was wearing to go clubbing when I was in my 20s, early 20s, and I used to tape my toes together to put them in these awful shoes. I literally used to tape my fourth and third toes together to get them in these shoes. Shh, don't tell them. Which is just awful. When I think about it now, I think, what on earth was I doing? Okay, get your fingers out. Have a look at your foot. Compare your foot to the other one, if you can kind of see mine. But the one I've just been doing is a completely different colour, because the blood flow is so much better in this one now. My skin looks a much nicer colour, it's much smoother, it's much lighter. Amazing. How's yours? Do the other side. So bring it in. So again, you want the opposite hand. Heel of your hand is kind of in the ball of your foot, just in the arch of your foot, and then interlace your fingers between your toes. Again, just manipulate your foot around, get in there, breaking up any tension. So yeah, I really hated my feet, and I used to hide them away and torture them. It's like the whole old Chinese foot binding thing. Yeah, my mum never knew that I did that. I would have been in big trouble doing that. And then it wasn't really until I started probably doing my Pilates training maybe that I kind of, well, you have to be barefoot all the time, so I kind of got my feet out, and I would go on all of these training courses and be with all these teachers, and we were looking at how important our feet were and moving our feet and stuff, and I used to think, these poor things, you know, they've been really faithful, they've never let me down, and I've mistreated them and I've hidden them away. And then people started saying to me, oh my goodness, your feet are amazing, and look at your toes, and I was like, oh, really? And now I love my feet, you know, they are little monkey feet, but they're mine, and I'm going to love them. We all need to kind of love our bodies a bit more, don't we? We all have bits that we don't like. We don't even know why half the time. So again, moving your toes forwards and backwards. You can spend as much time doing this as you like. This is something easy that you can do, you know, like when you're sat watching the TV. I mean, maybe don't do this on the bus, but, you know, or when you're driving. But when you're sat up an evening watching TV, give yourself a little treat, give yourself a little foot massage, moving it around. Give it some love. And again, if you have bunions, this is a fantastic exercise to do, because you're giving space between the big toe and the second toe, and it's this joint here that tends to get out of position because the big toe gets pulled. So by getting that space and pulling your big toe here and trying to mobilize and move this joint is going to really help with your bunions. But again, we can talk about those a little bit more when we do our foot live. I'll tell you when that one's coming up. Okay, have a look at your foot. How does it look now? I mean, it certainly looks different to how it looked before. How does it feel? How do your feet feel? Can you feel more connected to them? Can you feel the circulation in them? I can almost feel, they feel more alive. They kind of feel more buzzy. I can feel that there's life in my feet again. Okay, so I have one more foot exercise for you to do. And I'm going to turn sideways on for this one so that you can kind of see this one. And this one is called stepping on the gas. So again, feel free to sit on a cushion or something if you need to. In fact, I am going to grab a cushion just to lift me up a little bit. Just so that you are sat in a really nice position. Okay. So stepping on the gas. We're only going to do one foot at a time. So I'm going to bring the other one in out of the way. And then I'm going to pull my toes towards me, so pulling my toes towards me, pulling the ball of my foot towards me, so I'm really flexing at the ankle, And then I'm going to start to push the ball of my foot away, but still keep the toes pointing towards me for as long as I can. Pushing the ball away, keep pulling the toes towards me. And now I'm going to start to allow my toes to point. And then I'm going to point not only my toes, but the whole foot is going to point. And I'm going to really think about creating a huge arch through my foot. Oh, it's wanting to cramp up. So I'm really pointing my foot like I'm trying to wrap it over a bar, like a bird on a perch. I can see all of the little toe knuckles there appearing now. And I'm going to keep that pointed foot and I'm going to start to pull it back towards me. So keeping the toe curled but pulling the foot back towards me. Oh, it's so hard. Okay, and now I'm going to start to allow the toes to release. And the toes are going to pull back towards me. And we're going to do it again. Ball of the foot is pushing away from you. Keep pulling your toes towards you. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And then allow your toes to start to point. Point the whole foot. Think about that big arch again, like you're standing on a perch. Push the whole foot away from you. This is really going to strengthen the muscles of the feet. Keep the toes rounded. Start to pull the foot back. Keep the toes rounded. Keep the toes rounded. Oh, there you go. Whew. Keep the toes curled. Start to unfurl your toes. Pull the toes back towards you. And release. You can do as many times with that as you like. Let's do the other side. Noticing if it's different on one side to the other. So really flexing through the foot first. Going to pull the toes towards you as much as you can. Push the ball of the foot away. Keep pushing the ball of the foot away. Keep pulling the toes towards you. Then we're going to start to allow the toes to point. And the whole foot to point. Again, we can see those little toe knuckles. Keep pushing the foot away from you. Making that arch like a little bird on a perch. Oh, really working the muscles of the feet. Push the foot away. Really feel the muscles of the arch starting to cramp up. And then keeping the toes curled, pull the foot back towards you. Oh. Once it's come back as far as it can, you're going to release your toes. Pull your toes back towards you. Let's do one more time. Pushing the ball of the foot away. Keep the toes pulling towards you for as long as you can. Then start to allow your toes to point. Your whole foot to point. Pushing away from you. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And then we're going to go back the other way. Keep the toes curled. Oh, pushing the ball of the foot. And then start to release the toes. And release. Okay, so that exercise is really good if you are quite flat-footed as well. If you have kind of lost the arch of your foot, that will really help to strengthen those muscles through the feet. Have a play with some of those exercises. Like I said, there is a lot there. I don't expect you to do them all every day, but just pick a couple that work for you, slot them into your day, give your feet some love, and absolutely never tape your toes together. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to go through anything again with you that you're not quite sure of, and I will see you soon. Thank you.